from back to front, so you can pitch on the green and spin back too much if you're unlucky.
Yachty just trying to find this 11th fairway. Drops down about 30 feet.
Very interesting swing line. It goes sort of all over the place, not for the purist, but I was talking to John Jacobs yesterday, and I remembered something he said years ago. One of the problems with golf is there are too many ways, or so many ways, of playing the game well. You just watch this. We talk about people who just go straight up and down. He's almost sort of stiff in there. They're all good up there, and then the knees are all coming. Look at that movement there. Tremendous left hip out of the way, and then almost looking through his arms at the follow-through, the finish of it. A little bit ungainly and unrhythmical, but it gets the job done well.
Slope to negotiate at the 14 for Alejandro Canazades. He's just on the bottom level there. Up it comes. Another great roll. Every hole seems threatened today by almost everyone in the field except for Robert Carlson.
Back to the 10th tee. Carlson lining up.
Well, the wind's just picking up now here on the west course, but back into the faces. Robert Carlson 188 yards away from the flag, which is cut on the right-hand side and over this new bunker that Ernie put in a couple of seasons ago. 6 iron.
And just stuck. He used to get a lot of balls fall off the green in the front corner there. And of course down in the woods it gets a bit in there on the left. It's a little bit more cultivated now than it was years ago. Now can he do it again? Had a hole-in-one at the 5th. Can he do it? There was I think his name was, if I remember rightly, John Hudson. He had two consecutive holes in one. One was a short hole and the other was a drivable sort of short par 4, and he knocked it in the hole. I think it was at Royal Norwich, somewhere up there in Norfolk years ago.
Just a 5 iron for Miguel.
Safe shot. Sensible. John Hawksworth with this game. I'm sure you've had a hole-in-one, John, haven't you?
I've been lucky, actually. I've had 7, but I had 2 on the bouncing tour events. I hold a 3 iron in the German Open, and then I hold a 5 iron at the Belfry the following week. And I didn't win anything.
That's life. Second shot up to the 11th. Now, does he got it? No, it's going to be all right. Well, the longest shot I've ever held was a 6 iron. I used to play golf when I was a boy with an old boy. He was a good player. He was a retired dentist. He'd hold out with every club in the bag, including a driver off the fairway. But 6 iron, I hold 2 consecutive shots with the 6 iron, playing in the Sunningdale foursomes years ago. Second shot at the 7th, and walked onto the 8th tee and had a hole-in-one.
Peter, I saw you last year on a charity day down at Old Thorns, holding one from about 195 yards.
Oh yes, I'd forgotten that. Was the longest one I've ever held. That was a little 4-wood, 5-wood, 204 yards. That's quite right. You've got a better memory than me. That was my 10th hole-in-one.
Paul Casey. He goes a hole-in-one at the 14th at the K Club.
Ryder Cup, yes.
Yeah. Needs one of those now, and a few birdies. This is the hole where you get a shiny car for the hole-in-one.
Yeah, this is the place to do it. This is the place to do it. And it's, ooh. I think one of the most impressive holes in one, if there's such a thing, impressive. Howard Clark was at the Sawgrass Club, the dreaded 17th hole, and he was doing a little demonstration. Here we are at the 17th hole. This is what you do here. And the camera was on him and showing us how to do it, and he popped it in for 1. That was very impressive. And I remember him saying, "Did you get that? Did you get it?" Yeah, we got it. It was a beautiful shot, hole-in-one. They're quite rare. I think Sevy's only ever had one, and one of the most accurate players. My father only ever had one.
I think Howard had one at the Ryder Cup as well.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
All the alphabetical scores ticking along through the bottom. Look out for your favourite. There's Robert Dinwiddie, 63 in the second round, finishing 11 over. Something special happened on the Friday.
Jimenez, he was perhaps a little closer than this at the 8th, with not a dissimilar putt, slightly downhill. This is slightly downhill. And he three-putted.
You're absolutely right, Peter. This is a tricky one. This can quite easily get away from him if he's not careful. It's normally quick from left to right as you play the hole here.
Looking good now, staying out, staying out, staying out. Thought it would move, but it didn't. Greens are getting their colour back after that drop of rain. They were looking a little brown early on, and of course with the windy conditions and the firm ground, it was a tricky play.
Felipe Aguilar, second to 15th, and a wood required. Well, 3 under for his round, 7 under for the tournament. He another who's making plenty of headway today. Oh, he needs these to start dropping. Oh, and he's given that a race as well. Can't believe it. And now as the sun starts to shine more brightly, again, so close. Inches on every putt in the last few holes. That's all that separates him from the leaders.
Great chance here to move to 5 under for the day. Just about one of the flattest putts on the green. Might move a little left to right.
Only needed hitting. Hello, hello. We run them in. We show them we're the bold gendarmes. There's a little tweaker. They're nasty little putts. Contrary to what some people might think, I get no pleasure out of seeing people miss putts or hit wayward shots. But I understand it.
Just remarkable. Yesterday, in those conditions, his round of 70 was...
Yeah, brilliant. And that's tournament nerves, or whatever you want to call it. That's what you have to control. That's what separates them from them.
As Carlson crumbles, Jimenez just will grow in strength and strength. And Alejandro Canazades. Always holding on to that away left, beyond the sand. I think that was something unpleasant, he said. Bit of green to play with.
Casey. Straight up, straight. No, it's dribbling away.
So often it all comes down to who gets on a roll with the putter on the final day.
But you've got to hit well also. You know, Sam Snead said years ago, if he had to start again, he was one of the greatest players, I think, of all time, one of the greatest athletes. He practiced driving and shots from 100 yards and putting. The rest sort of falls into play. Driving is so important. If you're going to be a great player, you've got to have a shot. Tiger's got his 2-iron or his stinger. He's got several games he can play, whether it's hard, and he adapts.
Well, Robert's had a good long stare at the leaderboard, the big scoreboard that's to the right of this tee here, so he knows where he is in the context of the tournament. Going to be a big 8 holes for him here. 284 yards to go by the second bunker down the right-hand side.
Steady. Okay.
Just the mention of Tiger Woods, interesting to note that after his knee surgery again, the recovery not quite going perfectly to plan, and he's going to have to miss the Memorial Tournament. The US Open should be his first tournament back.
Wilson at the 12th. Good balance, considering he hits the ball so hard. Well balanced at the end of the swing. Yes, it's asking a lot to have a few weeks off and then come and turn on your best golf, particularly in a great championship like the US Open.
You remember what happened, of course, when he, at winged foot, had a few weeks off following the death of his father and then missed the cut.
Yeah, that was a rarity. Canazades at the 15th, a very wild second shot, pitching up the hill. His father had a very nice short game. He looks to have inherited that.
I always wonder about all the Spanish, for some reason, seem to have devilish short games. Arandawa trying to feed it down between the ditch, which comes in on left and right, not quite as narrow as it used to.
Good drive. He only needs a few good hits and some big putts held on a hole like this, which is reachable. They'll get up here in 2, a couple of good ones. Little ditch that edges out on the left and right has been pushed back. Players complained it was unfair coming into the fairways. They've moved it back, so it's given them a little bit more room. And this wet area in front of the green years ago was converted into a little stream going through there and out of bounds on the left-hand side of the green around the back. But this is a hole that most players are hoping to get a 4 and maybe a 3.
From Santiago in Chile, Felipe Aguilar, chip to here. Suddenly dropping back to 6th under, that takes you all the way out the top 10.
Simon Kahn and Stephen Webster have just completed their last round, both 69, good scores.
Ken was mentioning Alejandro Canazades got his US Tour card. In fact, he spends most of his time over there. It was difficult to, when you're a young player still up and coming, to try and play both tours. 4 times a Ryder Cup player, his father, Jose Maria.
Some did very well on the senior tour, now called the Champions Tour in America. Don't think he goes over quite as often, if at all, now. Seems there's 3 or 4 shots in it. Somebody can have a run, hold a few putts, do something slightly outrageous, and things can change again very, very quickly.
143 yards to go for Miguel. It's a 9-iron, but he's going to have to hit this pretty hard. Flag's just cut 6 on 7 off the left-hand side. Try and keep this ball a little to the right of the flag.
Sounded a little heavy. Now if it bites and spins back, no, he hit it heavy. Hope you don't think that's too critical. Hit it heavy. It's amazing, isn't it, when you've played for 50 years, you actually know when you've hit heavy or not. Surprises some people.
Robert. 133 yards to go. Maybe just looking to take this one beyond the flag and use the slope and spin it back down. Doesn't want to go too far back because it's a quick putt from the back of this green.
See, that's off the green. Robert Carlson has just emailed and said, why is it that pros don't seem to shout 4 anymore when the ball's heading for the ground? You ask me, Robert. I don't know. That was for a birdie from McGinley, slipped away. Level par for the day, and obviously disappointed over those first 2 rounds. Excellent rounds.
Cannot buy a putt now. I think that will be the tale he tells when he comes in. Seen him have a few chances slipping by. There's John Paramore, chief referee. Don't argue with him. He can hit a golf ball. Former Surrey Boys champion a couple of years ago. Just wonder if he's watching a couple of the players, perhaps, of the slower variety.
Yes, we've got Alistair Martin wants to know, what's it mean we put on the clock? Obviously one player is slower than t'other. Do all the group get penalised? I think they do, Alistair, if it doesn't seem to speed him up much.
Well, he's been waiting around a little bit, Oliver, here on 12. He's got 235 to go and it's down the breeze. So it's certainly not playing that yard. He's probably playing nearer 210, out of bounds to the left of the green. Plenty of room to the right, just a couple of bunkers to avoid.
You don't see that often in the men's game, the caddies lining up the players.
No. Oh, going right. Trouble. Is it trouble, trouble, trouble? No. Oh, got a nice little hop and a run to the back of the green.
Although Miguel's just short of the green here on the 11th, it's a straightforward little chip onto the green and run up. He's below the level of the hole, so no fears here for Miguel.
You line these ones up in the hope of pulling. That died in its first bounce.
Oh, that's not very good. In fact, we've had an email from Carrie Thuve, I think it's expressed. Jimenez threw, after he's holding one, threw the ball into the crowd. Is he not supposed to play the same ball throughout the match? We'll tell you about that in a minute, Carrie.
210 for Yachty Randauer. Great position. 4 iron he's going with. He can attack the flag.
Are we allowed to say that was a mishit, or is that being too cruel?
We can emphatically say that he caught that
miscued it. Jimenez threw the ball into the crowd. Is he not supposed to play with the same ball throughout the match? No. You watch again. Let's see where he went wrong here. Go on. Obviously thumped into the ground a bit deep. Very hard to see over the top. Very hard to analyse a swing like this. It could have been a little bit wet fairways, a bit squirrels. It exploded the grass. Could have just touched a bit earlier, hit a soft spot. Back to Jimenez and the fact he threw his ball into the crowd. You have to use the same make of ball with the same compression, the same sort of, well, it's got to be the same ball, but not the same ball. You can change as long as it's the same make and stresses and strains.
And did Carlson learn from Jimenez coming up short? Different route, lower scuttler up to the hole. Pretty good.
A tester here for Jimenez coming up. He's played, he duffed his second a bit and he's mishit the chip. Or, anyway, he didn't get it close and it was a relatively simple shot, so he's got to, well, it's an easy putt up the slope, if any putts are easy. No, a copper with a tattoo. Go on, lovely Charlie. I asked an old toff once, a member of my club where I play at Hindhead. He'd been a member since 1934. You notice any difference, Douglas, in the members now from 50 years ago? And he thought for a long time, and he said, well, 1 or 2 of them have got tattoos now. One of them happened to be a rear admiral.
Strong putts.
That was a very strong effort. nerveless touch, because it would have been, he'd been so cross if he'd missed that. And that's how championships tournaments are won and lost, mistakes. Hello, what's going on here then? Hello, yoga now. If I can't go on there and play, I'm going to sit and do my yoga. Don't sit on wet grass, son. Nice to see the young uns out. The Golf Foundation do a fantastic job of encouraging young people. Schools now letting youngsters have golfing tuition. St Edmund's School near where I am, they have a golf week there every year, training up the young.
Down the left-hand side of the 16th, Canazades. Miscue off the tee and not able to get all the way around the corner to the green.
It's absolutely glorious out here this afternoon. Hardly a breath of wind. That mugginess has gone and it's just a beautiful, beautiful afternoon. 2 ditches to avoid here for Miguel. The one on the right, 286, the one on the left, 284.
Spectacular. Well, he certainly looked to hit that well. Left, is it? Yes, it is. Oh, jumped the ditch, and oh, that's horrid. Although it's not lying badly, if the trees have blocked him out, he might be able to play a sort of slight miracle shot onto the green. That's the situation, tied at the top at 11 under. Tony Spellman wants to know, he's heard American commentators saying he's got a clutch putt. Clutch putt, clutch. It just means a difficult situation, Tony. You know, he's got a nervy but a clutch putt. Important. Would you say that about sums it up, Andrew? Yeah. We mentioned the Blind Golf Championships. Well, the World Blind Golf Championships, which are held every 2 years, I've had a communique from Mike McGann. They're in Belfast this year at the Beaver Park Club from 10-12 of August. Now, big task as he heads for home with the lead. And nervy holes, although the wind's dropped and the ground conditions are pretty good, though there's a little bit of breeze getting up now, but this run for home is never easy. Remember Harry Wheatman was in this position. He was, and let's just watch Render put that one in. Yes, he does. Ryder Cup years ago, Wheatman was 4 down to Sam Snead playing up the 13th, and he won his match. Wheatman beat him. He could not, suddenly Snead could not hit a ball straight. Pretty well won all the holes with pars.
And Canazades bother at the 16th, his third. Fires it in low, hop off the shoulder.
Did better then than it might have done, Andrew. He misjudged that by at least 10 yards. Now we have a clear leader, Oliver Wilson, 1 ahead, but Jimenez playing the 12th. Obviously, he's got a chance for a birdie, reachable in 2. So they could be tied again in a few minutes. But the run in from the 13th is not an easy collection of holes. Now let's have a look. He's got a glove as well. Oh, he's proper.
Yeah.
The course
13,
beautifully
218.
presented. Yeah, the drop of rain's freshened it up, Andrew, hasn't it? It's got that sort of emerald green look about it again.
And then when the sunshine comes out, it all seems vivid, sparkling.
205
Lovely.
is the front, yeah.
Miguel down the right-hand side of the fairway. Roberts in the well, he's in the rough, but underneath the trees on the left-hand side.
Think Jimenez can get on from there, Paul? Has
Yes, he
got the-
can, Peter. He's
Yeah.
only 236 yards away, and if there is any breeze, it's helping him. So I'm sure it's one of the small fairway woods that he collects in his bag.
Just got to miss that bunker on the right and not go left.
At least 12, okay.
He's usually very good. Looks quite a inviting
please.
target, doesn't it, from here? Good, clean, straight one. That practice swing is really quite remarkable. He sweeps them away usually, just a beautiful contact, just brushing the grass.
He's chosen a 5-wood to sweep it away with, Peter.
Oh, he took a divot, fooled us all. Doesn't usually take a little divot, but did that time, and he's played a beauty, but just pitched on the green, died on him, but good shot, on for 2. It's a par 5, 2 putts to tie once more with Oliver Wilson, who's up ahead. Text in from Liam Friel in the council chair, Westport Golf Club, the West Point, the West Coast of Ireland, County Mayo, celebrating their centenary this year. And a bit of history was made a few days ago when we had 2 twins playing in the final of the Irish Ladies.
We've got awkward backswing here, Robert, those overhanging branches. You come in too shallow, could lead with the heel and unmentionable.
Trying to move that round the corner.
And to beware of the ditch across the fairway there. Don't know.
Crucial part of the golf course for Oliver Wilson now. He's had a great tee shot down this 13 up the left-hand side, but the pine trees that are up the left-hand side are going to be in his vision. He's going to have to shape it very much from right to left, but he's hit a wonderful tee shot. 5 under for the day. Could it be Oliver's first win? Randauer also finding the fairway up the left, but they're both going to have to hit quite hard draws from right to left into 13 here.
That tee at the 13th now, all the way back. They just keep biting off further bits of land and sticking that tee further back. I think things have stopped now. Really is a monster around the corner. Now Canazades, if he's to have any chance, let's roll this one in. His race perhaps run. A good finish though, that's where he needs. He has not gathered too much money on tour this year or in the United States.
Defending champion Anders Hanson finished with a 68. He well down the list, but two rounds under 70, but 2 75s and a 75 and a 77 knocked him back. Jean-Baptiste Yonnet from France, a 68 from Carmougin. So some good scoring today. My word, if he's got up here, that's a big shot out of the rough there, Andrew. If he's clattered up onto the 13th tee, he has too. That's a huge shot he managed to get round. That's a big shot, Paul, from that position.
Yes, it was. Got the ball up pin high. Finished on the next tee or one of the forward tees, but it's a straightforward pitch shot here for Robert. Really could do with holing this now. Just get some momentum. Had absolutely nothing go for him on the first 11 holes. Could this be the turning point for him?
Yeah, not a bad place to be at all, Paul. Is it plenty of green and nipping it off the tee?
Yes, he was just unfortunate with the second shot to have that one overhanging branch that was stopping him from getting at the ball as he wanted to, but it was a good contact he made out of the rough.
to drop just one. Very good, 2 par 5s to finish with. Much money to be made.
This is the view behind Carlson, looking at this pitch at the par 5 12th. Where to land it? Downhill. Does he skid it up? Does he pitch it halfway and trust to get the right sort of check on it? You can see from here, if you look beyond the green, you can see the posts holding the wire up that denotes the out of bounds. It's not all that far away, is it? If you're coming in with a big club and it's very windy, wind right to left, and you turn it a little bit, you only have to go 10 or 15 yards left and you can bounce and go out of bounds.
Like you say, a number of options here for Robert, but he's certainly got 12 yards of rough to go over before he lands on the putting surface.
Good shot, good shot.
He needs that though, badly needs that. This has been a tumble from grace today for Carlson. 3 over par, while others are 3, 4, 5, 6 under for the day. And the only reason for it can be the final round flutters and jitters, which they're suffering not from. Must be something soporific about Wentworth. People come here to snooze.
I think our director likes to see people asleep. I think he enjoys that. Let's get rid of that double chin. Oh, she did.
After Oliver Wilson made his birdie at the 13th, Jimenez, stroke for stroke, can he match him? Or better, perhaps?
2 putts from here. He won't be in the slightest bit disappointed with 2 putts from here. Must be all of, I don't know, 45 feet, 15, 16 paces from the hole. Steady. Oh, what a good touch. What a good line. Frightened it.
.177 left for Oliver, slightly blocked out, as I say, up the left-hand side. Needs to draw it from right to left.
Not too much. Kick right.
Too much turn. Kick right. He demands. It does.
Just a bit too bold. Awkward one back. But from here in, if he could just have one good finish, one birdie from here and the rest pars. If he parred, in fact, Wilson would set a very good target.
Well, come on, Robert, this will be for your first birdie of the day. Nice and firm, just inside that right edge. Oh, these little flies just disturbing him. Doesn't need that at this moment. Just got to keep his thoughts in the present. Such a disappointing first 11 holes. Some momentum going for him.
He's going for a shock. Oh, you can see what bug. Looks like a. He never saw it, and got it in for a birdie 4. A rather adventurous 4. Nevertheless, a birdie.
Landauer's got to shift this even more from right to left than Wilson. Sure, he's entirely pleased with that. That's a horrible shot left. Horrible shot left.
Jimenez, little putt for a birdie. He'll tie for Wilson at 12 under if he gets it in. And he does. And he does. So only 6 holes left. Phil Parkin with Aguilera. Phil Parkin's been following this. Come in, young Phil.
Yes, but I haven't brought them much luck, I'm afraid. Canazades bogeyed the last hole, and Felipe Aguilar, he bogeyed 15 and then double the last hole. So quite often that happens when the TV cameras appear. They start wondering what they're doing, and next thing you know, there's a couple of bad shots, and that's it. But Canazades drove down the right-hand side here, and he's found a bad lie, so he can't reach in 2.
Interesting, Philip, we're talking about Canazades trying to split time between the 2 tours on both sides of the Atlantic. That was something you tried to do as well and found it quite difficult.
It was, yeah, it was too difficult for me. Back in those days, you didn't have 7 tournaments that counted on both tours like you do now. It was very difficult. He's trying to do something that is not easy at all.
Hey.
Well, it's motoring on over the top of the hill. Another look at it. Really thrashed into this one. It doesn't look very deep, this rough, but being wet and cloying. Look at that shaft belly. Didn't get very high in the air, but it had the desired effect. Now here's a horrid shot down here, Andrew.
Yeah, you can't quite see the slope that he's coming down there. How little to play with. The ball doesn't look to be lying too badly, though. Oliver Wilson watches his playing partner, the leader of the tournament, along with Miguel Angel Jimenez.
Well, we didn't see the actual shot, but the result, dare I say, wasn't very good, but it was a tricky one with a right to left slope.
Well, this is like trying to stop a bowling ball down a marble staircase for Randauer. So quick. If he's a bit cute here, he's about 4 feet above the level of the green. He pitched it about 2 feet in front of him and hope the weight of the ball carries it down. Oh dear.
It nearly came off, John, but it was a very awkward shot. But you see, missed the green on the wrong side. Oh, missed the green.
Now McGinley, missing man on the final day. It's been a bit of a sorry tale, but for a birdie.
He's back to his usual putting. He seems to strike them well, but they don't go in. He had 2 glorious days.
He's reduced now to one of the supporting cast. 7 shots behind, and there's the tail. Just 1 red, 1 birdie, 2 drop shots, and on a day of such low scoring, very sad weekend at this tournament for Paul McGinley. 4 shots clear at the halfway stage.
Yeah, pretty well. Miles Tunnicliffe, who's just completed his round, a 65 on the 70, 65, 77, and a 74 today. Must be a boy pop group, are they? Stars in their eyes. Are you with the stars? Oh, this isn't too easy, too. This isn't easy. It's a little niggler.
Everyone just tumbling away from those leaders, Wilson and Jimenez. It's
all of a sudden something goes wrong, and a quite innocuous sort of second shot going into the green, misses the green on the wrong side, and he's still 4 feet away, and it does make you appear to be, make you look rather foolish.
Ken Brown has rejoined us.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you think then, Ken? What do you think, my boy?
Well, Luke Donald's in the clubhouse at 9 under. That's not, I don't think, going to be a winning total. The 2 other players, of course, 12 under. But between Wilson and Jimenez, it's going to be a touch and go. You'd think experience may just pay.
Well, I would have thought so if you were, but Luke Donald's in a nice position. Certainly may get into a playoff, and of course, well, there's others would have to foot in a great finish. This needs to go in for a start.
Right edge and firm. He pulled it. Very slow up little slope, little valley of a green here, and this is on the little upslope. One of his very few errors today.
Just overhit his second shot, and it just went to the back of the green, and well, it was an awkward chip down, big right to lefter, but couldn't get it within 6, 7, 8 feet of the hole, so that's cost him a shot.
It's his first drop of the day. Six times he's been runner-up on the European Tour. Only Nick O'Hearn, the Australian, has been second more times, who's currently playing. He's had a lot of close shaves.
Randauer. Last gets it in the hole. Shot dropped. These are the crucial holes coming in now. Shots dropped here can cost you, well, your confidence goes, but also a tremendous amount of Ryder Cup points if you're in the hunt for a Ryder Cup badge, and also money. A couple of £100,000 difference between first and second. If there is a playoff, they go back to the 18th, 18-18, and then 1-2, 17-18, and just play until we get a winner. See, Alexander Noren from Sweden has 67. See, that's pulled him right up, and Ramiro 67. Oliver Fisher, that's better, 70. Simon Dyson, he was going great guns with half the round gone, but finished at 72 under. Lots of sport going on at the moment. French Open, the tennis, Murray, one set up, the rugby sevens from Twickenham. Press the red button if you got one, and you can watch all. Oh, stay here! You can, or you can flip between the two. Annoy your partners of the moment by switching over from one station to another. Now here we go. He's got to get a bit of swing on this if he's going to find the green, but find the green he can.
196 4-iron for Miguel, back into the breeze.
Well, I suggest that probably a club short. He's been coming up just on the edge of the green on 2 or 3 holes. He might have played a little quiet 3-iron. This is the 14th.
185 up the hill for Oliver. Semi-blind tee shot. All located up on the top tier again, but tucked away in the left-hand corner. 5-iron.
Middle of the green.
That's in the 3-putt area too. When you're getting a little bit, nerves are getting a bit raw. That's a bit raw. That's not good to leave yourself with such a long putt.
184 for Robert, 5-iron.
Yeah, just pushed a bit.
Randauer realises that Wilson's ball hasn't climbed up onto the top tier, so might just give this a little bit extra. But for Wilson, it's a pretty crucial time on the golf course now. Bogeying 13. Just get a couple of pars up these two and then attack the last 3 holes.
Oh, that's horrid. I think it's stuck on the bank. Remember, you good amateurs, if you want to enter for the Open Championship, we've had a message from David Hill, the championship organizer. Well, perhaps that's the wrong word for him, but your entry has to be in by the 29th, Thursday the 29th, scratch or better, to have a chance of playing in the championship. And Greg Norman, who hasn't played for a couple of years, he's entered, just got his entry, and Tiger Woods has also confirmed that leg willing, he'll be there.
I'm afraid things seem to be getting worse for old Canazades. We saw him in the rough on the right-hand side, struggle with his second shot, then his third shot was left of the green and duffed his little chip shot, so now he's left himself this to save par. Just bogeyed the last hole as well. was 8 under par 15 minutes ago, and if this doesn't go in, he'd only be 6 under.
Currently tied for 6th position, Canazades. The par 5s, the 2 par 5s to finish, they just give such a variety. You can finish 3-4, even 3-3 with a bit of a miracle.
Well, we've seen it this week, haven't we? Several players have put in tremendous... Dinwiddie, for a start, he had a 63 when he set the course record. It's possible to finish 3 or 4 birdies in a row if you get the ball rolling.
Well, Miguel just looking to nudge this one forward onto the front edge of the green and just let it run up the rest of the green, just like a putt really played with an 8-iron.
Has he hit it hard enough? Don't think he has. Again, I thought he just caught the ground a little heavy there. It didn't sort of click away. He's left. Well, I suppose it's the easiest side of the green to putt into the hole from, but not. Now this is horrid. Horrid shot.
This is a horrid shot. He'd have almost been better falling into the bunker. The stance that he's got, very easy to nudge this into the bunker, but if he gets this to 8 or 10 feet, he'll have done well. Oh, he's played a brilliant shot.
How do they do that? How do they do that? Dear old Fred Dinage. Oh, Fred will be sitting there in his mansion down in Hampshire watching this. How?
Similar type of shot to Jimenez, but a little bit more level. Down the hill and up the other side.
Good shot.
Well, Oliver would have liked this much further up the green, and he was going to have to deal with this big change in elevation. 2.5 feet up the slope, right to left. Got to give it enough to get on top, but not too much to leave himself a downhill return.
Very slow up there. You hardly ever see anyone get past the hole. And this is where the testiness comes in. Dropped a shot just a moment or two ago. Looks as if he might do the same here. Jimenez has got a putt that, well, what is it, 8 or 9 footer for his par back. Here it is now. Perhaps not 8 footer, but getting on for that distance.
Well, as Miguel's chip shot was running out of steam, it was breaking from left to right. He may just well have a little bit of that left in this one, but it is slow. He's still going back up the green here. This for a par.
Oh, that's a cruncher. That is a cruncher. He was asked the question, and by word, he answered the call there. Very reliable. He's become very reliable. In the last 10 years, 10 or 12 years. Got into golf as a caddy years ago down Costa del Sol. Now here's a big one here.
Massive putt for Oliver Fisher. You can afford to be pretty aggressive on it.
Well done also. Excellent. Good nerve. There's 4 holes left. What he wouldn't give for 3 4s and a 5. That would be heavenly from here to the clubhouse. Settle for that, Ken, wouldn't he? 3 4s and a 5.
No doubt about it, yeah. I think those 2 putts going have probably meant that Luke Donald now at 9 under has got no chance. But we've all got to get through that 17th, that horrible tee shot. Oh, terrific up and down for a very awkward spot.
Yeah, that could be in the save of the day category, that one.
See the tee up a little bit at the 15th. I think there's 1 or 2 tees up today. Still a very long par 4.
Søren Jeltsin, who was playing so well, 65 in the second round, was going well yesterday until he started dropping a few. Finished with a 70. Marcus Fraser from Australia we saw play 75.
Here's the leader, Miguel Angel Jimenez from Malaga. Picking the club here never easy. It's uphill. It's a 2-tier green. To get it near the flag, you've got to be, pitch on a sixpence, really.
Yeah, you've got to have a little bit of good fortune when you pitch in that bank. If you've got a bit of kick forward, you're all right. And because if you go back and you run sort of 8 feet through the green, you're on the downslope and you've got to go through the little valley, and it's nasty little shot back.
Well, the last 2 players in the field with a chance to win a brand new BMW X6.
There's a little tier here. You just got to be so precise. Got to pitch it just at the bottom of it.
What was this, Paul? What club is this? A 4-3, 4-5? What is it?
It's a 4-iron for Miguel. 185 to the flag. Into the wind, Peter.
4 left. Oh, not over. What is that? In the bunker. Everyone's getting a little bit edgy.
And that's one of those testy bunker shots. To get close, you've got to take a chance with it. Not the greatest of lies.
It's nestled a bit.
A lot of sand to come over and not much green to work with.
No, I think if you gave him half a dozen shots, he'd be delighted if he got 2 of them close.
Well, the last player in the field, Robert Carlson, had a chance to win the brand new BMW X6. Just a 5-iron for Robert.
Same routine, isn't it? Just really gives it that piercing look up the green and braces his shoulders. If he could get a 2. Set off low and left a bit, did it? No, it didn't. That's the one. It could be a... No. Good shot.
Just the right trajectory to skip up the tier. In our days, I suppose people used to say 5'10", 5'11" was the perfect height. Now they say it's about 6'2". But once you get over 6'5", golf becomes like Peter Alliss. It's quite a Weisskopf. Clubs aren't quite made for you.
Well, that's what they always said. And if you look back historically, a lot of players were under 6 foot tall. Sam Snead, 5'8" to 5'11".
A little bit of a steery one there. Just enough right hand to keep it on the right edge of the fairway. Okay. Little 3-wood. High flight, not going to get too much run on it. Not too bad.
15th, good par 4. They've lengthened it a bit, as much as they could over the years. Just under 500 yards now. New bunker down the left, bunker down the right. Quite a narrow driving area, and the trees come in right to the edge of the fairway. That little ditch stream runs diagonally across. Green tilts right to left. Front bunker, that gets a lot of action there. And you don't see an awful lot of people go through this green. Sort of back left corner. Now there's an interesting gentleman at the back there, quite inoffensive looking, handsome young man, is the owner of this, or his company you might say, is the owner of Wentworth Club. That's Richard Caring, and he's got a few restaurants, a few cafes and sandwich bars and things, and an all-round good egg. He can go where he likes.
Must be quite a nice feeling to I own the course.
Yes, mine actually.
Yes.
Just a few hundred acres and
Yeah.
a couple of nice eateries. I think I'll go up here. He's got his minder with him.
Well, Miguel's lie's not too bad in this bunker, but like Ken was saying, very, very difficult indeed to get this close to the hole. He's almost going to have to take a chance to get it close by landing it just over the bunker.
Just a mark. I mean, you've got to land it somewhere here. Unfortunately, if you land it there, you're actually landing on this little bit of a downslope, so you may want to just carry it a little bit further than that, but you're taking a chance trying to get it close.
Open face. Slide it. Very good. Firm sand underneath, wet sand. That helped in that situation. If that had been very soft and deep dry sand, it would have been, I think, more difficult. But he's got a chance of saving his par 3, but Carlson with a chance for a 2.
That was a high quality shot just to nip it off there. Landed it on the flat. Played a little left of the pin, slight percentage in it.
Very short tee shot for Yachty. Down 15, went with 3, would have left himself 240 the flag into a strong left to right breeze. Does play slightly downhill. Coming with the artillery to get back to the flag.
That looked to be fading in beautifully. Has he overdone it? No, he hasn't. He's played a little gem. It's one of the best shots we've seen today. Conscious competence.
Jimenez leads by 1. Got a little 5-footer on the 14th for his par. Looks to be between him and Oliver Wilson. Wilson looking for his maiden victory on the European Tour. Jimenez for number 15.
Stand still there, please.
Wind seems to be freshening a little as they head for home. How's that going to affect play?
Yeah, I think that's the right back. Yeah.
It's going to affect it dramatically, I think, Peter, over the last few holes. Oliver's got a, well, not the longest yardage at 211, 185 the front, but on the right-hand side of the fairway, the trees are just impeding him slightly, but he has got to hit a left to right shot, so there's no decision to make. He has to hit a fade, and the wind's favouring that. It's blowing hard off the left.
Seems
Anywhere on the green's good.
Sprung up in the last few minutes.
It sure has. It's up to about 15 miles an hour.
Started left. Is it cutting? It is. A good shot.
Just looking at our computer, Peter, the 15th and 16th holes are the second and third most difficult on the golf course today, so these two are tough holes.
They are, and just fresh from having his own ice cream, Andrew Cotter.
Still his. The wind is certainly freshening out there. Any lingering hopes? Robert Carlson secures them. Back to just 1 over for the day. And within 2.
Well, he's held these well all week, straight and firm, and he's done it again. That's a sweet, sweet putt. Carlson 10 under, Oliver Wilson 11 under, Miguel Angel Jimenez leads by 1 at 12 under par. Just checking his yardage. Tell me the tee's up 21 paces, just seeing how far it is to the bunkers left and right.
15, 16, 17, 18.
Eating.
He took big strides.
He may be a meters man.
He was walking in a sort of metric fashion. You know.
Felipe Aguilar for an eagle opportunity on the 18th. This breeze is actually helping on 18, so there's a good chance the last few groups we might see some eagles now. perfect tee shot, cutting around the corner and a 3-wood to this position. It stopped really quickly on the green.
Horrible time over the last couple of holes. Bogeyed the 15th, double bogeyed 16th. He's given that eagle chance a rollicking good go.
Like you were saying, Ken, the tee forward here right on the front of the back tee, but needs to be straight back into this breeze that's ever stiffening here. 2 bunkers left, 1 bunker down the right to avoid. Long hole again today.
Be interesting to see where he's going with a 3-wood or a driver. He certainly favoured a 3-wood a lot of the times, and 3-wood. Ideal left side of the fairway. 3 bunkers down the left. Oh, it's 2 now. There used to be 3. And 1 down the right. Gareth Lord is caddy. Caddy's very important at this time to settle you down, keep concentrating.
Nickname, as we learned yesterday, the Lord. Fantastic. I love the contrast in the swings. Tall and elegant Carlson.
Driver for Miguel.
That very different swing, different approach. Almost the very same result. 2 great tee shots.
Two good shots onto the 15th. This to join Jimenez on the... It's a tie. 12 under par, Oliver Wilson. A very rare 3 at the 15th today.
Oh, now the adrenaline will be coursing around Wilson's veins. Jimenez is a very popular figure, but Oliver Wilson has plenty of English support, and he now sits there alongside the Spaniard, and once again there's a little bit of a gap between those two and Robert Carlson. Randhawa follows Wilson in, hasn't yet given up the fight, given up the race. Moves to 9. So much can happen over the final couple of holes.
We're coming to the sleep of the 16th, shortish par 4.
Santiago's finest, Aguilar, finishes with a fine birdie 4. That'll be a decent finish. At the moment just inside the top 15 and playing with Alejandro Canazades. Oh, sad, sad and costly. Bogey, bogey, par finish, round in 70. 6 under, but inside the top 10.
Been at the back of the 15th, so plenty of landing area for the players. Who's it first to play? There wasn't much between the 2 tee shots.
2 yards in between them, Ken. It's going to be Robert Carlson to play first. Interesting enough, with this breeze, 244 yards. That's all those tee shots went.
Well, Oliver Wilson is going to be feeling fantastic co-leader on 16 here, although he's got a pretty tough tee shot as the breeze is just, well, increasing as the minutes go by. But bunker up the right-hand side, 214 he wants to avoid, and also down the left, so anything threaded between them would be good, but it's got great support out here. Clouds are getting a little bit heavy. I don't know whether we're going to see some rain.
Do not speak of it. Flirted with the bunkers down the left yesterday. It's just a little hands forward, punchy one almost. Absolutely spot on.
Going to be a big hit for Robert. 4 iron. Can he drive it in low?
Go was the urge. May well be tunneling its way south as we speak.
Yeah.
Very far right.
Yeah.
186,
Yeah.
190 meters to car in the corner.
One corner, one, yeah.
With 5 wood.
5 wood's perfect.
210 meters.
5 wood is
Yeah.
perfect.
And that's downhill. It's turn too, isn't it?
Hear the discussion between the caddy and the player.
Okay. You happy with that? Right, come into it then.
Can he produce another bit of magic, Paul, with his fairway woods?
I don't see any reason why he shouldn't. Absolute expert with this club. It's a 5 wood again. Got to be just careful that he gets a good contact and drives it forward. Doesn't want to get too much height on it because he is going back into quite a stiff breeze now.
Decent lie?
It's a good lie, yeah. Just needs to stay over it and squeeze it forward, drive it forward, let the loft of the club take it in the air. Nothing fancy here from Miguel.
Oh, that looks sweet to me.
Gone.
Here she comes. Oh, a little unlucky. A slightly soft bounce on the downslope, but a delightful shot.
Yeah. Just, you can see balloon and not even making that right-hand track. Yeah.
Maybe just a little gust of wind caught it.
Football all the Grand Prix.
There's a look at the leaderboard. Superb round of 65 from Luke Donald in the clubhouse at 9 under. Yoti Rendauer on that number, but the leaders at 12 under, Wilson and Jimenez. Steve Webb's took up, I think, certainly 8 under, maybe even got to 9 under at one stage, but finished on -6. McGinley 6 under. Super little round of 70 for Oliver Fisher. Looks like he's going to finish in the top 20. So far more scores under par today. Peter Lorre, winner a few weeks ago, finishing on -1, a tie for 35th position.
Anders Hansen, the defending champion, good 68 to finish the defence of his campaign, but only in a tie for 40th. And down to those propping up the field. Anyone over par today. A lot of these the early starters as well. Beyond hoping in the fairly strong rain this morning. Ross Fisher on his home turf, and Robert Dinwiddie there finishing with a 79, 11 over, 63 on the second day. At least he'll take away a new course record from this week.
Yeah, that might take a bit of beating. 63 on this new stretched West course at Wentworth is an exceptional round of golf. Who will it be? The young up-and-comer or the old veteran to take the title here? Will it be Robert Carlson? He's still in there with a chance.
Between those three though now.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, Miguel's just nice and relaxed out here. Asked me who's won the Grand Prix. We'll tell him we'll find out, and his caddy Paul Smith wants to know who's won the football. Or winning the football. Won't be over yet, I wouldn't have thought.
We'll do our very best to find out.
One of these bunker shots, you've got to aim about 6-7 feet right of the cup and get the ball running down the slope. Slightly lower trajectory. You don't want to pop it too high in the air. See, a fairly square stance, wants to come in shallow but sort of shunt a bit of sand with it to get the ball running.
Five, 6 out of 10. At Doncaster, 1-0 up. At the moment, you can pass on that news, and Lewis Hamilton won the Grand Prix.
Both Ryder Cup golfers. Both currently in the top 10 of the Ryder Cup point standings, but a victory would almost certainly put you in the team.
Now Paul Casey, see if he can finish with an eagle on the 18th. Struggling a bit with that putter today. Oh, he's given it a go. Oh my goodness, Paul Casey. It's almost cruel to taunt him with an eagle so late. Why could it not have happened in the previous 17 holes? There you go, little yellow figure to finish with. Before that, very little. Worth a few bob. To his caddy as well. 6 behind though. This man, Miguel Angel Jimenez and Oliver Wilson.
Well, we've seen this putt so many times down the green, right to left, big swing.
Looking, oh, unlucky. He was in the jaws, was on the line.
Brandauer already gone here on 16, unfortunately missed the green to the right, but just 140 yards left for Oliver Wilson. Duncan near this flag, middle of the green's good.
A shocking second shot in here yesterday, Oliver Wilson. That one far safer. Just holding on to it with the hands.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'd given him that one, the way he's putted. Did seem to catch it a little bit out of the heel, but that is really a thunderbolt. Oh, we just try to steer it in a little bit, force it in.
And Oliver Wilson on his own leads the BMW PGA Championship. He doesn't know it, but he will soon if he looks at leaderboards updating around the course. He may not want to look. This is the loftiest position he's found himself in.
Just behind the 16th green, there is a leaderboard, but I don't suppose he noticed it as it was going by.
Some players are scoreboard watchers, some are not. That one will be updated shortly. Wilson will shuffle to the top, and those nerves will fray ever further. He's never won a European Tour event, and so close now.
Well, Robert, who's struggled on the putting green so far today, but he has single putted the last 4 greens. This one for a par to stay in touch.
And perhaps he's slipping away finally now. So many things can happen at the 17th.
Dow just popping the club on the back of the ball, and pretty well done. This scrambling this week has been exceptional.
You need a good caddy as well. Always remember Ronan Flood of Padraig Harrington decided not to look at leaderboards at all on the final round of the Open at Carnoustie. Just maintain the focus. It can change your approach to the game entirely if he knows. At the moment, Wilson sure will think he is in a share of the lead.
Very sensible second shot Oliver hit. Flag cut on the high part of the green at the back of 16. I'll tell you what, 2 putts from here, he'll take it, even though it's not the longest par 4 on the golf course.
Well, the nerve ends are getting a little bit raw at the moment, so nothing seems to be quite stone dead. But missing a little short putt like that at any stage is a bit of a shock to the system, but in the position that Jimenez was, is almost unbelievable. Any idea of the line of this one, John? Because I know it's not an easy one to read.
Well, I've got to be quite honest, no, not particularly, but on the top of the green here, it's very subtle.
Back there in a moment, but on the 16th tee, the giant figure of Robert Carlson.
And the wind's at its strongest it's been all day. Perfect.
Strong finish, and he could still challenge.
Oh yeah, if he could finish with a Casey eagle and a birdie at the 17th, he's certainly still in the hunt with the 5s to come.
Randauer needs to hold this and then a solid finish. He's not out of this, but this has to go in.
This little portion of the green is virtually impossible to read. Just the most subtle of breaks.
Well, after that stunner of a little 20-inch putt missed. Do not build error upon error.
Good break, but it's difficult to tell from that picture whether he's got a decent stance. He may just be okay. For his par. Yeah, nicely done. Good 2-putt. Sensibly played hole, found the fairway off the tee, cautioned his second shot, 2 putts. And he moves to the 17th, one of the most daunting tee shots, especially if you're looking for your first win. Par 5, 610 yards, wind certainly not helping at all today. Out of bounds all the way down the left-hand side, 250 yards to get over the road. If you're going to miss, you must miss it down the right-hand side. Then the hole turns to the left, not a bunker on it. This is where you'd lay up to about 110, 115 yards. It is reachable in 2 if you can chase one on. 2 massive hits mine today, probably just out of range. Wind, as you can see, into a little bit today, so playing a good bit longer. Brilliant hole.
Brutal tee shot this on 17. There is a bit of breeze, but the brave man hugs the left-hand side and gets the most out of the drive. Anywhere on the golf course will do.
Had to be. Oh, that was a long way right.
Well, that is so far right there. There are a lot of people down there. I'm sure they'll find the ball, but there's so much timber, he may be in big trouble here. At least he's on the right-hand side to get a look at the second shot, but that's a big miss.
Thousands upon thousands of practice drives hit in his young career cannot prepare you for the drive at the 17th when you lead in the BMW PGA Championship.
I'm not so sure whether he misread the wind a little bit there, Oliver, but anyway, Yachty, well, he won't have filled in full of confidence.
Where is the wind coming from, John?
Well, it's off the left-hand side, Ken.
Oh, and
the trees on the right-hand side of the fairway are blowing, and they're a bit protected up on the tee because you drop down some 30 feet.
That's okay.
Yeah, no, it's
It was very interesting if you notice where Oliver Wilson's aiming. He's aiming really down the right-hand side here. So he's committed to hit a draw. With the wind coming off the left, it's such a dangerous shot. And just at the last minute, he thinks, I can't afford to do that. You can see him trying to gather it up with the right hand. And, well, it went, I suppose it was 15, 20 yards right of the fairway. Now he's in the lap of the gods.
Now Richard Green, a man from Melbourne, for eagle at the 18th. A nice way to finish, as did Casey. Bogey the 16th, bogey the 17th, gets them both back. 69 lifts him up to 7 under par and into a tie for 6th.
131 yards to go for Robert. He's got an 8-iron out here. Got to drive this one in under the breeze. Tough pin back right.
Admiring it. And no wonder. Covering the flag.
We talked about what can happen at the 17th. We've seen the drive of Oliver Wilson now, 12 under par. Carlson will know that he is by no means out of this yet.
There's how it looks. Wilson by 1. Robert Carlson 3 behind, but with a great opportunity at the 16th. And he's just about all right with his stance.
Yes, Ken, just about all right. He's skirt round to the first bunker there and just stopped short of going in there, but he can stand to it. He's only 127 yards away, so a big break for Miguel here. Again, going back into the wind.
How's that stance going to affect him, do you think?
Well, he's just far enough back that it shouldn't make any difficulty to him at all. He doesn't have to grip down the club. He's chosen a 9-iron, but the ball's just a little bit above the level of his feet, so if anything he could hoik it left, but what he doesn't want to do is miss it to the right here. But only 127 yards to go for Miguel.
He too aiming a long way right, trying to drill it in with the draw. Oh, well, nearly a master stroke, but brave one.
Well, I've just had a word with Andy McPhee, the rules official, who's down here officiating. Oliver Wilson, I tell you, was in the bush. Now, he's got a couple of problems because he's going to have to take a penalty drop to get himself clear, so he'll be playing 3, and then he'll be dropping onto a path that, well, has been damaged through the crowd. He would get relief from that, but then he'd have to drop the nearest point of relief, which is back towards the bushes. So he will drop it out on the path, and that will have to be his lot.
I can't even get in there, can I? That's a bit. It's more for me, I think you move any of them things, isn't it? By the look of that.
If we come back from the green, and not that he's particularly interested in the green at the moment.
Slowly back up, please. Back up, back.
There we go, back, back, back. And there is Oliver Wilson in the holly bush.
Well, he's just measuring out with Andy McPhee. Gets 2 club lengths, penalty drop. And they're just deciding that he's not dropping nearer the hole, which he obviously can't do, but he's going to be slightly fortunate because he will have a clear 3rd shot, but it will be off a muddy line.
A couple of paces back. Thank you. Keep moving back slightly, please. Keep going, that's fine.
Just sweep down to give you an idea where he is. He's tucked into the boonies down here, right there. I mean, if you do slice it down, you're a little bit unlucky to finish in a holly bush.
Yeah, he ends up dropping the ball. He's got the tee peg down now, so he'll be dropping and playing 3. If the ball rolls nearer to the hole, he will have to drop it twice, and then he'll get to place it, which is a little bit of a bonus because he's dropping it on a muddy path. It might pick up some mud, which would affect the flight.
It looks, he's got to be very careful with this drop though, because he's got to stay on the path, and if he drops it and it kicks the other way, it will be very unhealthy for him. It's just...
Well, Miguel's having a long, hard look at this. This is an awkward little putt. It goes up a rise, and then once it reaches the top, it breaks down toward the 17th tee just beyond, and it picks up pace as well. It's an awkward one for Miguel here. I'm sure Be looking to hole it, but 2 putts will be good from here.
He's given that a race and left himself another little tester with the putter, which betrayed him so badly in the last. He does not know that Oliver Wilson's in all sorts of trouble up ahead.
He's now dropped it twice. It's all gone a bit technical in the trees, but now Andy McPhee's happy that the ball, although did go slightly forward, it's not gone nearer the hole from where he's marked out. So he's now in play playing 3 off, well, it's almost like a mile curry down the right of 17 where the crowd's been standing, but he should be able to get the club on the back of the ball.
And through all this, his mind will be racing. The young man has finished second 5 times on the tour, has never won, and is closing in on the biggest prize on the European Tour, the flagship event. But back at the 16th, Carlson trying to keep himself in contention.
Huge putt for Robert here. Really has got to make this, you think, with all the goings on up front, and playing partner Miguel still with a little bit to do. But he did have a good look at Miguel's putt as it went past. Very similar line. This for a birdie to go to 10 under.
Sweetly struck. What a beautiful putt. Just sort of hovered across the surface, straight in the centre of the cup.
Do not count out Carlson. And Jimenez still has that little par putt to hole.
I tell you, this is a brave shot he's trying to take on here. He's got the rescue club out to chase it down this 17th, but it's hard into the breeze. Got to keep it under the trees and hit it straight. All the best.
Ball up against a piece of holly as well. Done pretty well, but he's there for 3 at this par 5.
Now, putter, do not fail me now. Different stroke. Jimenez remains 11 under, with Oliver Wilson a provisional 12.
Well, Randau's been hanging around for quite a long time. 324 the flag, no way he can reach the green. Just trying to get it into position, bunting one down the fairway, and it's a good shot.
Cool, it's playing its full 610 yards today. Course has given us a lot of variety this week. There were times when people knocking on this green with an iron in 2. Now it's suddenly a big 3-shotter.
Somehow at Wentworth, it always comes down at the West Course to the final few holes proving so crucial, and so often the 17th. Long, cruel par 5. Oliver Wilson's got to try and keep his mind clear of clutter, and remember how he got into this position now.
Well, a brief interlude there while Robert went to the bathroom. Normal service resumed this week. Straight into the wind off this 17th tee. 245 yards to carry the road. Normally the players don't even look at that, but it's certainly going to be in their minds today.
A very different mentality, though, standing over this tee shot, Paul, when you think you're in the lead, or as these two, no, they're chasing the lead. It alters your mindset.
There's no question about that, Andrew. Left is no-go. Can't afford to go left here. Genuine 3-shotter today. I think that a nice, good straight drive wouldn't put right.
Rare time he's used the driver.
You never see the one that gets you. Here's this warm-up routine which stretches every sinew.
Out of bounds left, and you can't afford to go the big sloping fairway from left to right. You know it's a three-shotter, but you've got to take a driver in order today to be able to reach in three almost.
It's almost a carbon copy of the Wilson drive.
Just got to keep your fingers crossed and hope it spits it out somewhere in a half decent lie.
.135 down the hill, but into quite a strong breeze for Yachty. 3/4 99.
I think the wind must have caught him out a little bit. Just popped it up in the air too much.
115 yards, ideally pictured about 119, and then just bring it back. Just try and get left of the flag, but do not miss this green right.
Same problem. So Wilson will have that for his par. Oliver Wilson 12 under, Miguel Angel Jimenez 11 under, Robert Carlson 10 under, Yachty Randauer -8, Luke Donald with that wonderful 65, currently in fourth position at -9. Noran 67 for Andres Romero, Retief Goosen super 66 on 7 under. Good finish for Casey, a lovely eagle at the last, that was worth a bob or two for him.
Just wonder, Luke Donald watching the television in the clubhouse, seeing those drives at the 17th, won't yet be heading off. Probably not going to win, but you never know. They made him wear the same clothes, which is slightly worrying.
That's it, back, good grip, that's super little action.
Maybe they were twins and one's just aged slightly better. Look at the crowds coming down as they filter down this narrow corridor of trees. Record crowds this week. And we've been treated very fairly by the weather on this final day, players and spectators alike. But it promised much worse.
Well, both balls are fine down the right-hand side. They're in the rough. The only problem that we may have is that there's a little bit of mud on the ball of Miguel Angel Jimenez's. Robert Carlson's fine, but no trees to worry about here.
Lies Oak, oh, he's got his whole little gentleman's out. Little nudger up the middle. This is a risky little shot. It's easy to top this in front of you. I mean, the lie's reasonable. If he keeps thrashing like that, there'll be nothing left. Well, he's got to chase this one forward. Big tilt on the fairway. Easy to find the right-hand rough from here. Just crept onto the long cut, up on the green.
Randauer for his birdie, rolling but short. Fading like his challenge.
Well, Robert's got a nice lie here again, just got to drive the ball forward and chase it to the top of the hill.
It's a hearty smash. Wonderful. Peter Alliss is back with us watching this, what is now a fascinating finish to the tournament.
It certainly is, and because it's there's still many options can creep in. But Wilson has this putt, long putt, and it's... And that's a drop shot. Very good putt from such long range under those trying conditions. Now he's got to get a 4 down the last. So often a bridesmaid. There we are, tied now with Jimenez, who's coming up behind.
Arandao just for his part. Stays at 8 under, now 3 behind his playing partner.
Well, 4s at the 18th are going to be worth much gold. There's the 18th. It's been altered a little over the years. It crept the tee back as far as they can go. New bunker up the right, enlarged on the left, another little one over the top there on the left-hand side. And we've seen a lot of drives off the fairway here. New bunkers up by the green. It's still always good to get a 4. It's 538 yards. Fairways are fairly soft, or softer than they were at the beginning of the week, so still needs 2 good shots now. Jimenez is well back.
Yes, he's got a nice lie in the rough, Peter, but he's right at the top of the ridge, so he can see everything that's down in front of him. He's got 139 yards to go to the flag. Again, that breeze is into his face, and that pin is cut tight on the right-hand side.
What sort of shot? What sort of club?
He's going to be looking at a 9-iron or maybe a pushy 8-iron from here.
Okay, see shot.
9-iron he's got, Peter.
9-iron, well, you can see everything he wants to see. Well, if ever we needed, or he needed, a good shot on a putt, it's all going to be settled over these last 2 holes.
Miguel's got an 8-iron, Peter, sorry. My misinformation, this is an 8-iron from 139.
Be good.
Be right, be good. Be all those things. Great shots, Jimenez.
Very good shot. Perhaps a little unlucky, it just didn't get a little closer, but that's an excellent shot. One of his favourite length putts for a birdie.
Thank you.
That was a nice recovery shot there from Robert. He's got 117 yards from the middle of the fairway here. Just a nice wedge for Robert. Can afford to take this right up to the hole.
Pitch is short, it could spin back. Oh no. No. That could be very costly.
Well, I'm a bit surprised at Oliver here. He's got driver out on 18. And if he takes a 3-wood, which is 15 degree, can batter it at the left-hand bunkers at 301. He can't reach them, but with the driver, well, this is like threading a piece of cotton through the eye of a needle in a gale. To get it between these bunkers takes some doing.
where
on the other
he's been there
side.
before.
Heavy rough over there, Andrew. Or could be. Well, not the ideal place. Final hole, I don't think he's got any chance of, unless he's very lucky with the light reaching the green. It's all coming down to the last half an hour, 45 minutes or so. A very good scoring today. Very good rounds and some surprise packages, really. They've come up as we thought they might from the back of the field with a good round. None more so than Luke Donald, 65, puts him in at 9 under. It's only a couple of shots behind the leaders at this moment, and they've still got 2 holes to finish.
Well, I've just had a look at Robert's lie there, and if it had been a cleaner lie, it's definitely one of those shots that you fancy for chipping in. But unfortunately, he's got the long, wispy grass that's lying toward him, so it makes the strike awkward here. He's definitely going to get some grass between the club face and the ball as he strikes this here, so maybe not quite that easy for Robert.
It looks a bit clumpy, doesn't it? Almost like trampled ground. It's very easy to come up short here.
Very dodgy lie for Oliver down the right of 18. Semi-blocked out and a big clump of grass next to the ball.
He's got a full swing for Carlson. Pop open the blade slightly. Just going to try and pop it up in the air. Land it so softly. Underneath it, right underneath it. That was the danger. He smiles, but his chances fast disappearing down the Burma Road.
Well, in euros, this is 750,000 first, 500 second, so that's about £200,000 difference. Then down to 281, 225, 190. So huge amounts of money here disappearing at a great rate of knots, unless he might chip this in, of course. If he takes 3 more from here, well, that's a year's wages gone.
Ken Brown is back alongside a fascinating finish, Ken.
Yeah, it's very difficult to pick the winner. Well, that was a bit of a ricket from Carlson.
The shot to the green was the problem, really, Ken, wasn't it? Missing the green. Too greedy at the flag.
See how he's playing? He's just swinging his club a little bit on the inside because he wants to sort of knock it forward Bobby Locke style and get a bit of a run on it. Doesn't want to pop it in the air. Back in the stance. With a hook spin on it. Running forward.
Good shot. Oh, full of surprises. Full of surprises. And that's a 5. Strange ways of getting a par, isn't it? But a 5 it is, and a par. Now wait for your partner or opponent or companion, call it what you like.
Paul McGinley for his par at the last. Well done, Paul. Well, what an odd week for him. Played so splendidly of the opening 36 holes, 65 and a 66. 79 yesterday, 72 today, but good performance. 6 under, just wriggles in the top 10. But he would have hoped for a bit more, I think.
Well, certainly after the way he played the first 2 rounds, they were majestic.
Yachty ran down. Wants it to hit a brick. Unlikely. Oh, they hit something. It was an awful bounce.
Just caught the angle of the bunker there. That was a bit unlucky. Yard to the right, could have been very close. Now here's a big moment for Jimenez.
Well, that was a beautiful iron shot into the green for Miguel. Down the green, going to swing a little from left to right. This to take the lead.
No. So it's all to play for up the last, with Oliver Wilson off the fairway in deep grass, more than likely to get a 5 rather than a 4. 4's at the last, Ken.
I think that might do it for him. Oliver Wilson. Oh, this is very thick rough here.
Tough lie, trees down the right, just trying to nudge it into position.
Dangerous. Ooh, come on, son. Seems to have got hold of it. Oh, that's excellent.
He's got good distance on that. Nice distance left for a pitch and a putt. Total spectators of the week, just over 69,000, 16,000 in today. So that's the most we've had since 2005. We had 67,000, 67, 68, 66, 69. So very nice. A lot of spectators here over the 4 days of competition, and of course the Pro-Am. Some of them may have come in on that day as well.
Quite a long walk from the 17th to the 18th tee, about 150, 200 yards over the road.
Very important to drive. If you can find the fairway, sort of just right of centre, that's perfect.
Been 21 birdies on the 18th today, so far 3 eagles. So Peter's right, if you find the fairway, it really does offer an opportunity of a under par score.
Carlson's got what, a 3-wood, something with a bit of loft on it. Yes, this isn't the driver, just playing for position. Strangely silent. 4 right. He's found the big stuff.
Oh, that seemed to sort of dig its heels in a horrible spot. You do feel he definitely needs to make a birdie.
Just don't stop, please. Sorry? I wouldn't have said so, no, it's after that.
Just picking the wind, Miguel Angel.
Yeah.
Oliver Wilson's preparing for his 3rd.
Great deliberation on this 3rd shot. Great deliberation on this 3rd shot for Oliver Wilson. He's left himself bob on 100 yards. Carries 3 wedges. 48, 54 and 62, and I think he'll be hitting the 62 flat out here and get some spin on it.
Nudged it a little lower. Yeah, it was well controlled. On for 3, it's par 5, have that for a birdie 4.
And we drift back to the tee for a very important tee shot of Jimenez. One more fairway to hit, because we might go into extra time. They play the 18th again a couple of times, and then if they're still tied, they go 1 first, second, 17th, 18th. Straight. Really is a very good driver. Oh, that's unlucky there. Just took some spin and checked it. Might have gone another 5 or 6 yards, but very good position.
I remember Henry Longhurst when Tony Jacklin won the Open Championship at Lytham St Anne's. That was a corker.
Henry Longhurst, yeah.
And this was a corker just hit here.
Oh, hello, this is an awkward one. See the ball rolled back from the face of the bunker. Chops it right up, stops. Yes, good shot.
On the 18th green, Oliver Wilson, representing the Cotter Golf Club, and the World Cup winning team in 2003.
Here it is, the biggest moment coming up in a minute of Oliver Wilson's golfing career, golfing life.
Yes, if he could hold this one, Ken, well, Jimenez will be back up the fairway. He'll see what's happening. If he does hold it, there'll be a great cheer, so he'll to get the idea that Wilson has got a birdie, and he'll need to go to birdie to tie.
Nice little thing where they announce all the players, I think, on the 18th. Sorry, Peter.
Yeah. Alistair Scott, ex-BBC, one of our producers, and who started. I remember Alistair years ago when we had our pro celebrity golf matches from the Glen Eagles Hotel. He was back in the early 70s. He was about 30 odd years ago. So they can't play up until this lad putts. He strides up and he's just waiting, looking, feeding the shot. And this putt of Wilson's is a tricky one as far as line is concerned. I think you can overread things into it, Ken, don't you? Think it's a strange putt.
Just getting his yardage, Miguel Angel, making sure he's got the right number to the front of the green, add the pin on, and you're absolutely right with this putt. It's a right to left ridge. I mean,
but how much, and how much pace, and how much line, and it's...
Most have hung it right. They've left it on the high side.
Yes, you're right, Ken. He's putted pretty well today, but of course, if he gives them more borrow, he'll be dying in. Might take a little bit of the borrow out and try and crash it in, but this would be fantastic. There'd be a massive cheer if this goes in. He's played brilliantly today.
Yeah, fingers are crossed in Mansfield.
No. See, it almost went right at the end. It's a most bizarre line. Very, very strange.
Nail varnish, Peter.
Eh?
Got nail varnish.
Where, the toddler?
Yeah.
No, is it? No, I don't think so, Ken. You're looking at life through rose-coloured spectacles, you are.
Well, great bunker shot from Yachty. He's impressed me immensely today. He's not going to win this tournament, but he's certainly won a lot of friends. Very impressive player. And sneaky long, but this isn't an easy putt down the green. It's probably the flattest part at the back of the green, but nevertheless relayed. So it'll be slightly different to the rest.
No. Moved away. It's very, very difficult. Five. 37 home, round of 70. Taps in. Goes fine. Well played. Well played indeed. So a 68 for Oliver and a 6-5 finish. Set penalty shot at the 17th. Now, is he going to be a runner-up again? Because coming up behind is the man from Malaga. A 4 to be champion. 3 more shots from here, and he's the winner.
Ball just looks to be, well, just the camera angle maybe making it look like a little bit of a hanging lie, but he's out with one of his magic fairway woods.
It's a long way. Do you reckon if he really clatters one and gets a good bounce, he can reach?
I think he can, yes.
Yeah. It's a little bit soft in front of this green. He needs a chaser if he's going to run it up the green. Here we go.
A little bit of breeze helping.
Now, did he take a little divot? Did he get the power on? Did he get the power on? He's pushed it out to the right. Nestled. Well, it would have been plenty of club. He's coming down the green. Tricky chip, not an impossible one.
No, there's those little humps. When they redid the green, they made some little shallow humps on that right-hand side there, so the grass is a bit tufty.
Carlson from the heavy rough, played up short of the green. So it's the final scenes, or are we going to have extra time?
Down in 2, Carlson gets to 11 under, so he's still in there.
Yeah, I think so. You're going to make birdie, so.
Yes, if Carlson gets a birdie, and Miguel takes 3 to get down, there'll be 3 of them tied at 11 under, and they'll go back to the 18th. And they'll play until we have a winner.
First prize £600,000, second prize 400,000, 225 for third.
What a money, Ken.
God, I wish we were 18 again, Peter.
Oh, I enjoyed my time playing. Different world, different time, different values. They were good. For you, just wait a minute, don't get carried away.
Well, Robert just laid up with an 9-iron from that thick right side. He's now got 87 yards to go.
He's been playing this week with a sort of high flighty trajectory without too much spin, sort of settling flight, which is means the ball's not going to spin too much.
If he pitches this just right to the flag, and he gets the right sort of spin, he can end up very close. If he pitches left of the flag, he could end up at the bottom side of the green. What's he done? Oh, you little beauty. Yeah, excitement at the very end here. He's fought back very well, Carlson, having had that shaky bit in the middle. Very good. Lord Berkman right there, works for the tour. Jamie, we call him. He is one of the main organisers, but staging the event.
It's been brilliant, hasn't it? I have to say. I mean, everything's stellar.
The new tented village has been excellent and beautifully laid out.
Now, Carlson is much easier putt from where he's finished than the other side of the cup, so he's given himself the best opportunity of tapping his...
Well, the spectators are getting their full value for money, Ken, today, because if I can't see Miguel taking more than 3 from here, unless he has something completely cockeyed. If he gets down in 2, he's the winner, and nobody can do anything about it. But it's a chip and a putt. There he is, nestling. And that's the view from behind. He's about 4 foot, maybe that sort of thing, above the level of the green at its lowest point. Downhill.
Yeah, it's kind of downhill here, isn't it? But it's this little bit past the pin. If you get it running, it can go skittering past.
He could chip this off the green, and of course if he lobs it short, it'll stay short. He's fluffed it. Played that very quickly. It was an edgy one. Now that changes things completely.
Oh.
Tell you what, if Carlson misses and Miguel takes 3 more, he's the winner. All sorts of permutations. He had a quick flick at this. There was no real backswing, no real hit, deceleration. He knew it was fast. If it had gone another 5 feet, it would have got probably down to the hole.